Hello students, in this presentation I will discuss about the nucleic acids. We have already known that the eukaryotic cell consists of the nucleus, and inside the nucleus the chromatin fibers are present. These chromatin fibers later on during the cell division they condense and form the chromosomes. These chromatin fibers are made up of the histone proteins and the nucleic acids. So nucleic acids are chain-like macromolecules functioning in storage and transfer of genetic information. They are the major components of all cells, making up to 5 to 15% of their dry weight. Although nucleic acids are so named because DNA was first isolated from the cell nuclei, both DNA and RNA also occur in other parts of cells. The nucleic acids are found in all living cells and viruses. They were first isolated in 1868 by Swiss scientist Joseph Friedrich Mischer from the nuclei of pus cells on hospital bandages. He called them nuclein because it came from the nucleus and was something different from the protein. The Altman coined the term nucleic acid as it was found that the nuclein discovered by Friedrich Mischer was strongly acidic. So he termed them as nucleic acid. In 1930, Koshal demonstrated that the nucleic acid on hydrolysis gave four nitrogen containing compounds, that are the adenine, guanine, cytosine and thymine, which are collectively called as the bases. Later on, Levin discovered for first time that nucleic acids also contained a sugar molecule which had a 5 carbon ring, and demonstrated that nucleic acid could be of two types, the deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA and the ribonucleic acid or RNA. Later on, Avery, MacLeod and McCarthy through transformation experiment indicated that DNA and not the protein is the genetic material. In 1952, Hershey and Chase, using radioactive labeled phosphorus, demonstrated that DNA is the sole genetic material. Now coming to the constituents of the nucleic acids, the chemical analysis have shown that nucleic acids are composed of three types of molecules. The first are the pentose sugar, the second is a heterocyclic nitrogen base, and third a phosphate group. The pentose sugar serve as building blocks of nucleic acids. The pentose sugar present in RNA is called D-ribose, from which this nucleic acid gets its name. The position of carbon of pentose sugar are denoted as 1 prime, 2 prime, 3 prime, 4 prime and 5 prime in order to differentiate them from the corresponding positions in nitrogen bases. The DNA contains 2-deoxy-D-ribose sugar. That is because the oxygen atom present at the second carbon of ribose is missing in the deoxyribose or the DNA, giving it name as 2 prime deoxyribose. So the DNA has one less oxygen at carbon 2 of the sugar molecule. The next constituent of the nucleic acid are the heterocyclic nitrogen base. The organic bases present in nucleic acids are called heterocyclic compounds containing nitrogen in their rings. They are also called as nitrogen bases. There are two types of nitrogen bases. First are the pyrimidines and second are the purines. The pyrimidines have a six-member ring containing two nitrogen atoms in place of carbon at position 1 and at position 3. The three pyrimidine bases are the cytosine, uracil and the thiamine. They contain a keto oxygen at position 2. So all the three pyrimidines contain a keto oxygen at position 2 of the carbon. In cytosine, an additional amino group is present at carbon 4, whereas in uracil an additional keto group is present at position 4. So uracil has the two keto groups at position 2 and at position 4. And the thiamine has an additional methyl group at carbon 5. So thus the thiamine is essentially 5-methyl uracil. All pyrimidines therefore contain an hydrogen atom at position 3, which is involved in their linkage with the 1' carbon of the pentose sugar. So this hydrogen atom present at the position 3 of the pyrimidines gets linked with the 1' carbon of the pentose sugar. The second type of nitrogen bases are the purines. The purines have a 6-member pyrimidine ring which is fused to a imidazole ring. So purines have 4 nitrogen atoms in place of carbon at position 1, position 3 of the pyrimidine ring and position 7 and position 9 of the imidazole ring. The nitrogen present at the 9th position of purine participates in the covalent linkage with the 1' of the pentoses. Adenine and guanine are the pyrimidines. In adenine, an amino group is present at position 6, whereas in guanine, a keto group is found at the position 6 and an additional amino group is attached at the position 2 of the pyrimidine ring. So this is about the pyrimidines. Now the third constituent of the nucleic acid is the phosphate group. The phosphate group has 3 reactive hydroxyl group of which 2 are involved in forming the sugar phosphate backbone of the DNA. A phosphate moiety binds to the 5' carbon of one sugar molecule and 3' carbon of the neighboring sugar pentose molecule of DNA to produce the phosphodiester bond. So here you can see the phosphate binds at the 5' carbon of one sugar molecule and the 3' carbon of the neighboring pentose sugar molecule to produce the phosphodiester linkage. A nitrogen base combined with a sugar molecule is called as nucleoside. So this is an adenosine nucleoside. A base is linked with the pentose sugar molecule by a beta glycosidic bond. The glycosidic linkage involves the 1' of the sugar molecule and the nitrogen atom of 9 in purines and nitrogen atom at position 3 in pyrimidines, eliminating a molecule of water. The nucleosides containing ribose sugars are called ribonucleosides. The 4 common ribonucleosides are the adenosine, the guanosine, the uridine, and the cytidine. Similarly, the nucleoside containing deoxyribo sugar is called as deoxyribonucleosides. The 4 common deoxyribonucleosides are deoxyadenosine, deoxyguanosine, deoxycytidine, and the deoxythymidine. The name of pyridine nucleoside end with suffix -dine, and those of the purine nucleosides end with the suffix -sine. The nucleoside, by addition of one molecule of phosphate group, forms the nucleotides. The phosphate molecule is linked with the sugar molecule at carbon number 5 or at carbon number 3. The 4 nucleotides found in DNA are the deoxyguanilic acid. The earlier was the deoxyadenosinic acid, the deoxyguanilic acid, the deoxycytidilic acid, and deoxythymidilic acid. Similarly, the 4 nucleotides found in RNA are cytidilic acid, uridylic acid, adenylic acid, and the guanilic acid. To explain the structure of the DNA, two major evidence came forward. The first one was the Chargaff fluid. When the composition of DNA from many different organisms was analyzed by E. Chargaff and his colleagues, it was observed that the concentration of thiamine was always equal to the concentration of the adenine. And similarly, the concentration of cytosine was always equal to the concentration of the guanine. This strongly suggested that thiamine and adenine as well as the cytosine and guanine were present in DNA with some fixed interrelationship. It also necessitated that the total concentration of pyrimidines, that is cytosine and thiamine, always equal to the total concentration of purine, that is adenine plus guanine. So this rule is popularly is known as the Chargaff rule. The Chargaff rule suggested that adenine is always paired with the thiamine and guanine is always paired with the cytosine. Then the second evidence came from the X-ray diffraction studies. When X-rays are focused through isolated macromolecules or crystals of purified molecules, the X-rays are deflected by the atoms of the molecules in specific patterns called the diffraction patterns. These diffraction patterns provide information about the organization of the components of the molecules. These X-ray diffraction patterns can be recorded on the X-ray sensitive film. The X-ray diffraction of the DNA molecule was provided by the Wilkins and the Franklins. The data of Wilkins and Franklin on X-ray diffraction crystallography of purified DNA revealed that the molecule, that is DNA molecule, is a multi-stranded fiber with a diameter of 22 angstrom. It was also found to have gaps at 34 angstrom along the fiber, and there was a repeating unit every 3.4 angstrom unit. So this was the information provided by the X-ray diffraction studies of the Wilkins and Franklin. So on the basis of the Chargaff's chemical data and the Wilkins and Franklin's X-ray diffractions data and inferences drawn from model building, Watson and Crick proposed that DNA exists as a double helix. So Watson and Crick determined the double helical structure of the DNA. According to the Watson-Crick model of DNA, a DNA molecule is made up of two polynucleotide chains or strands which are coiled about one another in a spiral. Each polynucleotide chain consists of a sequence of nucleotides linked together by the phosphodiester bonds between their sugar and phosphate residues. The two strands of DNA molecule are oriented anti-parallel to each other, that is, one strand runs in 3', 5' direction while the other strand runs in 5', 3' direction. This opposite polarity of strands is very important in considering the mechanism of the replication of DNA. The antiparallel orientation is essential as the two polynucleotide strands are held together in their helical configuration by hydrogen bonding between the bases in the opposite strands. The resulting base pair being stacked between the two chains perpendicular to the axis of the molecule like the steps of a spiral case. The base pairing is specific. Adenine present in one strand of DNA is always paired with the thymine located on the other strand. Similarly, the cytosine located in one strand is always paired with the guanine located opposite to it on the other strand. So, in the DNA molecule, adenine always pairs with thymine and guanine always pairs with the cytosine. Thus, all base pair consist of one purine and one pyrimidine. This specificity of base pairing results from the hydrogen bonding capacities of the bases. Adenine and thymine form two hydrogen bonds, whereas the guanine and cytosine form three hydrogen bonds. Once the sequence of one strand of a double helix is known, the sequence of bases in the other strand is also known because of the specific base pairing. The two strands of a DNA double helix are thus said to be complementary. The formation of hydrogen bonds between adenine and thymine and between guanine and cytosine is known as complementary base pairing. This property of complementarity of two strands that makes DNA uniquely suited to store and transmit genetic information. The two strands of DNA molecules are coiled together in a right-handed helix forming the DNA double helix. The diameter of this helix is 20 Armstrong unit. The pitch, that is the length of the helix required to complete one turn, is 34 Armstrong. Thus, each turn contains 10 equally spaced base pairs. The distance between successive base pairs is 3.4 Armstrong and the angle between them is 36 degrees. Each turn of DNA molecule include one major or wider groove and one minor or narrow groove along the phosphodiester backbone. Proteins interact with DNA at these grooves. The high degree of stability of DNA molecule helix results in part from the large number of hydrogen bonds between the base pairs and in part from the hydrophobic bonding between the stacked base pairs. The planar side of the base pairs are relatively non-polar and thus tend to be water insoluble or hydrophobic. This hydrophobic core of stacked base pair contributes considerable stability to DNA molecule present in aqueous protoplasm of living cells. Now the question comes, why DNA is an helix? The tendency towards a helix comes from the stacking of the individual bases on the top of one another. Both sugar and phosphate constitute the backbone of the DNA are quite soluble in water. However, the DNA bases which are in middle of the helix are relatively hydrophobic and are insoluble. Since the bases are flat, they stack on top of each other in order to form a more hydrophobic environment. The bases twist slightly in order to maximize their hydrophobic interaction. So here you can see the bases adenine and thymine are stacked in a and twisted little and thus giving rise to the helix. Similarly, the bases between the base pairing between the guanine and cytosine are also twisted slightly to form the helix. So the bases twist slightly in order to maximize their hydrophobic interaction with each other, and it is this twisting of the stacked bases that gives rise to a helix. Thus, the reason for a helix in DNA is primarily due to hydrophobic stacking interaction of the bases. Now, coming to the types of DNA molecules, the first the form is the Watson and Crick double helix form. The vast majority of DNA molecules present in aqueous protoplasms of living cells almost certainly exist in the Watson-Crick double helix form. This is the B form of the DNA. This B form of DNA is a clockwise or right-handed helix structure with 10 base pair per turn and a pitch of about 34 Armstrong unit. The B form is the conformation that DNA takes under physiological condition, that is in aqueous solution containing low concentration of salts. However, the DNA is not a static, invariant molecule. DNA molecules exhibit a considerable amount of conformational flexibilities. The structure of DNA molecule changes as function of their environment. So, the second type of the DNA molecule is the aDNA molecule. aDNA for any sequence is favored under dehydrating conditions, that is at 75% relative humidity. It appears that at least 4 purines or pyrimidines in a row are enough to set up a local aDNA helix. aDNA helix is bit wider than bDNA, and this is mainly due to fact that the base pair stack nearly on top of each other in bDNA, but whereas in aDNA they stack a little off center in the A conformation. The aDNA consists of 11 base pair per turn with a pitch of 28 Armstrong unit. The third type of DNA is the zDNA. The earlier bDNA and aDNA were the right-handed helix, whereas the zDNA is a left-handed helix which occurs at high salt concentration. The backbone is not smooth, but it is irregular and zigzag in shape, hence it got its name as zDNA. Alternating purine pyrimidine can form left-handed zDNA. zDNA is narrower than A and B conformation. It has a 12 base pair per turn and with a pitch of 45 Armstrong. Whether a DNA sequence will be A, B or Z conformation depends on the ionic or hydration environment. As we have seen, aDNA is favored by low hydration, whereas zDNA can be favored by high salt concentration. The second condition is that DNA sequence, that is aDNA, is favored by certain stretches of purines or pyrimidines, whereas the zDNA can be most readily formed by alternating purine pyrimidine steps. In living cell, most of the DNA is in a mixture of A or B conformation with a few regions capable of forming zDNA. Now coming to the functions of DNA. The DNA basically performs two functions. The first is the autocatalysis. This is the process of duplication of single DNA molecule into two daughter molecules. DNA replicates by semi-conservative mechanism. That is, the daughter molecules show one old strand or the parent strand and one newly synthesized strand. So this is the autocatalysis, which involves the replication of the DNA molecule so that the DNA can be transferred from one cell generation to the another cell generation. The second function of the DNA is the heterocatalysis. The DNA promotes the synthesis of proteins and regulates the biochemical reactions. In this process, the DNA template transfers genetic message to an mRNA molecule, and the mRNA then helps in the synthesis of the proteins. So the transfer of information from DNA to mRNA is called as transcription, and the formation of proteins from the mRNA is called as the translation. So basically these are the two functions, that is autocatalysis and the heterocatalysis of the DNA molecule.